Hi everyone, it's Pedro Baez from Go for Glory Stable. Today is May 25th, 2026. Today's Memorial Day, 2026. And this is the update for last week and what's going on for the next week. Yeah, didn't get to do this video yesterday. Just with the holiday weekend and all, sometimes it gets a little difficult. We try to keep it on Sundays. But this obviously fell into Monday, but that's why we want to get it out as soon as we can. But there's a lot going on. So this is almost like the I don't want to say calm before the storm, but it kind of is because we do have a lot of horses racing right now. We have a lot of things going on. But it's right, it there's we're gonna get into it in a second. We got a lot of horses coming that are gonna hit the track soon. So things are gonna go into hyperdrive very soon. Like this is it right now. We got a lot going on. The wind it's been building up since the winter, but pretty much once we get to the next couple of weeks, next 3 or 4 weeks. You're gonna start seeing a lot of horses hitting the track. Um, we'll get to it in like detail. Like we got horses like Gretzky the Great, who's on his way back pretty soon, and then we got checking out the talent, who's our new import. He's trading down great. He's doing excellent at Big Z, so he's gonna make his debut pretty soon. And then we got all the babies. So we got a lot of Rob's three babies. They might. They're getting pretty close. We got Paul's babies. They're in Vernon down, so we'll get to those. But right now we're in a stage where things are going to go into hyperdrive pretty soon, and it's my favorite part of the year. So once the babies hit, definitely to me personally is my favorite part of the year. Where right now we might have 10 horses racing a week. That number might go up to 15, 20 horses a week. So it's going to be outrageous, which I love. Anyway, and they're all locally. That's the best part about it is locally, as in Northeast, so like New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Eastern Pennsylvania, New York, uh, uh, Massachusetts. So um, there's a lot going on. So the Big Z outing is June 20th, 2026. So Charlie communicated that. So we're just preparing for that on our side. We're just trying to think what we're gonna do for that as far as anything else. Um, for the people that show up and it's actually a pretty decent amount of people who's RSVP'd already, so it actually might be pretty decent group, um, which it usually is. Last year, same thing. We actually get a pretty good group that comes along, and it's actually a lot of fun. It's one of my favorite things to do. I'm itching to get back to the track. Hopefully, I will soon. All right, so let's get. I think that's it for the stable wise news. Let's just jump into. The horse. We got a lot of replays to look at. Got a lot of horses to talk about. So let's just kind of jump right into. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. I think that's it. Let's jump right into the horses. So we got. Let's do Paul Kelley horses first. Just because Paul's literally all over the place right now. He's at least now I guess he's stationed more in the Northeast, whereas he was in Kentucky before in Florida. So the update with Paul. So let's do Paul first. So um we'll start with his babies. So his babies, they're in Saratoga. They're gonna arrive. They are arriving today. So today is the 25th, Memorial Day. He's shipping them up from Saratoga to Vernon Downs today, the 25th, and then 26th is when he plans on uh, starting to get them back to work, to jogging them. So they've been turned out for about let's say 2 weeks and change, 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, and Paul said that's going to do them a lot of good because they actually trained down really low. I think they were in. I have my notes here. Yeah, they're two 212, 213. So they were trained down pretty fast already, and that was like what 3, 4 weeks ago. So they're in good shape, and they're not very far. My guess is if all things go well, at some point in middle June, later June, we might start seeing them qualify. Maybe early July, but I'm thinking more like later June, probably later June. Um, just because it depends how Paul works sometimes. So usually, just so everyone knows who hasn't been with yearlings before and babies before, usually we try to get two qualifiers in before uh their first races. So you got to factor that in. So if they qualify mid-June, then you're thinking you got two qualifiers. So that's going to be pretty much take us to the end of June, and then they get a race in July. The first Excelsior races for New York are in early July, and I think Pennsylvania they're also in July. So it's I would imagine it's gonna happen pretty quickly. They're ready in good shape. And Sean Lindy's the only one she's still turned out, so she will continue to be turned out. So she won't resume training tomorrow. She will be turned out for another month or so, month or two, while she's dealing with the bone bruise in her ankle. But like that's not a bad there's a lot bigger issues out there that we could be dealing with. Like we had a horse with a broken ankle a few years ago. She broke her ankle twice. She's a broodmare now. She actually had a nice crazy wild colt already. But and we had horses that like Chirango last year who she just once she started trotting, asked to go trotting pretty fast. He just was all her gait was just horrible, and it looked like she was going to hurt herself. It looked like she was kind of like limping. It was more of like a deformity, I guess you could say, um, like how she was born. It was not really it's not like she tore a muscle or something like that. So, a lot can. What I'm trying to get at is there's a lot of negative things that could happen when you're training down babies. Um, so that's why I always say like just no news is good news, and we're just praying that things keep moving along. So, the babies are so like I said, they're shipping from Saratoga today to Vernon Downs today. Vernon Downs is finally all set up. The stalls are all ready. Everything's ready up there. And then tomorrow they'll begin training. And then, like I said, it's not going to take that long for them to get back into shape. So they've been turned out for 2 weeks. So you got to imagine it's going to take at least 2 weeks for them to get back in shape. Um, and then I'm thinking more like end of June, maybe early July. We'll see them finally qualify. So they're moving along nicely with Paul. We're talking about the Paul babies. And so that's where Paul's at. Saturday night he was at Meadowlands. He had some horses racing, Adios My Lindy and Corner Store. So let's just go through Adios My Lindy. Well, actually, yeah. Yeah, let's just do Adios My Lindy real quick. There's really not much to watch here, unfortunately, but we're gonna show it anyway. Like this is I was really hoping we'd be put in play a little bit, but you can't control that. There's only so much we can do as owners to control things. So here we are. Um, we're the six horse here, and she's got those hobbles on. Second time out with the hobbles on, and you know, yeah, looks like we're getting taken to the back. I feel like we probably could have left. It looked like the one left. The five did leave, and then he quit, and then he stopped leaving. He was a favorite. I think we probably could have got to the front. I don't think they would have parked us. We were only like 13-1 or something like that. But neither here nor there. So we're sitting in the back, and pretty much I almost want to like skip ahead because this is just like really nothing going on here. We're in the straight line the whole way. Really no action. There's 1 to 5 is sitting fourth right here. You know, which is actually she's a nice little six pack. This is a New Jersey Sire Stakes silver division. So they have two divisions now. They have platinum and silver. Platinum is like the original New Jersey Sire Stakes Premier division that they go for 25,000, two legs, and then $250,000 final. This is 10,000 legs, two legs, and then a 40,000 final. So it's like a Stallions or Excelsior version of New Jersey that they started this year. Um, this is Adios Marlene in the back. We're stuck now behind this horse. We saw it with my hunter. We're stuck behind a horse who's gapping, so we're already 10 lengths behind the leader. So we get around that horse, horse breaks, she's finishing fine. Driver's not really asking her much. The seven's being asked, we're trying to see if we can catch up to the seven, but the seven's still going, you know, and you can tell right here she wasn't really asked. She was doing it all herself the rest of the way. And because we knew we had fifth locked up, and getting fourth is going to be Herculean. So she finished strong. I think she went in like 57 in the slop, -2 variant. So it's a good mile, but um, you just she was never in it. So she was never in it. So there's nothing we can do from our side. She was never in it, and when the pace isn't very fast like that, and you're sitting in the back, and you got a 1-5 shot in the front. It's just not going to happen. So she was good. The key is she stayed on gate and she never looked like she was going to break at all. So which is what we've been dealing with basically since she was a 2 year old. So if she stays on gate, we can do pretty good with her. In a lot of respects. She only has one parimutuel win. So kind of like we sing with Whom the Bell Tolls, she fits really low with one parimutuel win. Um, she gets around turns. She has the gate speed, although we didn't see it there. And if she doesn't break, then she should be okay for us. So her next leg is in that New Jersey Sire Stakes premiere is not this weekend, so not this Friday or Saturday, but Friday, June 5th. So basically, they skip a week. So Friday, June 5th is her next division of New Jersey Sire Stakes Silver. And let's just hope we draw well, and then let's hope it would be nice if we can just kind of be a little more upfront now that we know that she finished strong. She had plenty in the tank, so we it'd be nice to just see kind of like what she is, like see her get tired a little bit, you know. Um, all right, that's adios my Lindy's. But the good thing is she's rolling, and the good thing is she's staying on gate. As long as she stays on gate and she's rolling like she is, we'll do okay. And the big thing with her is her broodmare value. We don't know what broodmare value is. Some of us joke around. It's like unpredictable. Sometimes you get a ton for a horse, sometimes you don't. But she, in theory, she comes from a nice family, and she's a Walner. She was a $70,000 Walner from a nice family. So, in theory, those usually sell pretty well in the fall as broodmares. We're obviously 6 months away from them, but just keep that in mind, and that she has that. We have that in our back pocket for the end of the year. But we got a long way to go. Let's first race her and see how the year goes. But yeah, she should do very well, especially with only one win. All right, that's adios, my Lindy. Geologic, he's doing fine. He's just waiting for his next stakes race on June 6th. So his is going to be a week after or uh, a day after Adios My Lindy's stakes race. So that's where I'm saying like things are going to start really heating up soon. So let's just see here. Um, Geologic. Yeah, I wish we had more Captain Corys, but yeah, he June 6th and Poconos. So we got that's his next race, and he got a little bit. He got some vet work done in May, so we'll see that in the May statements that go out in probably 2 weeks or so, 2 3 weeks. Um, Basically, he had it last year too, where he had a little bit of a splint in his I think it was front right knee or front left knee, one of those knees. And basically, it's just like when the bone kind of like breaks off a little bit, like a tiny piece of the bone breaks off a little bit. It's very common in like young horses, especially, and it happens in humans too. So the vets see it and they just go clean it out and get rid of those, the piece of the bones that came off, and then the horses are fine. It's actually a simple thing to do. It's very common, and he doesn't need time off or anything like that. So yeah, he got that done. So he's down just a little bit of, I guess you could say, maintenance work between his last Oak Grove Derby race and the next Sire Stakes race. So he's on June 6th, Saturday, June 6th. I guess my Lindy's Friday, June 5th. So they're going to be racing not this upcoming weekend, the following weekend. They're going to be rolling in stakes races. So we got those two. Uh, those two. And by the way, Adios earned $500, so it's not like she left that track with nothing. And I always say like, sometimes people get bummed out when we get fourth or fifth. It's like, yeah, if we get fourth or fifth and we're like the favorite, I would be like a little, bummed. But if we're not the favorite, or we got a bad post, or we just got a really bad trip or something like that, and then we get fourth or fifth, like that to me, those fourth or fifths, they add up. So they add up. So we got to keep stacking those four and fifths because believe me, they add up over the season big time. You can't always win, and you can't always come in second. So and third's kind of like right in the middle. It's kind of like I kind of look at third like kind of right in the middle. But I love anyway, so that's geologic. So let's get with second chapter. So all right, second chapter. Here's the big news. The second chapter is he got the vet work done on Tuesday, or yeah, Tuesday or Wednesday last week, and in that right hock area, the right hock area, and so now he's just going to jog for the next 2 days. So Paul's getting He's been up in Saratoga, turned out with with the babies. So he's gonna arrive also in Vernon Downs today, and then he's just gonna jog for pretty much 2 days or so. 20 tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, and then pretty much after that, he's gonna get 2 weeks of training, like kind of like hard training, because he's already in shape. So it's not like he's out of shape. He's actually in shape. He's been jogging training. He's not in any circumstance turned, was he turned out and stuff like that for a long period of time. So he's in good shape. So um next 2 days, once he arrives there today, next couple of days this week, he's just gonna get some jogging in, and then Paul's gonna give him some two weeks of like kind of like hard training miles, and then we just got to keep our fingers crossed um that he's actually trotting how he should be trotting. So the goal is that in 2 weeks he'll get those training miles in, and the goal is that he's actually took a step forward, and he's actually trotting normal and trotting good and trotting fast, and like without any discomfort at all or anything like that. And then we're going to try to qualify him. So in a perfect world, he qualifies in 3 weeks, and we get him racing in Excelsior and non-winners races, stuff like that. That's in the perfect world. We got to see. We got to see if the work the vet is doing is going to be effective. We don't know. It's not. We don't know if it's going to be effective. So, but the vet feels positive and optimistic about it. Paul's optimistic about it. So let's just see kind of how the next thing goes. But that's the big thing. 2 weeks of hard, couple days of jogging, 2 weeks of strong training, and then if he passes those tests, then the next step is qualifying. Hopefully he passes that test, and then we can race him. So that's kind of like the where we're at, and let's just see how it goes. And um we just gotta hope for the best. So that's second chapter. Um, and I think I covered everything. So we got the babies, second chapter, geologic, adios my Lindy. And I think that is it. Yeah, seen Lindy. We talked about her with the babies. So that's it with Paul Kelley. All right, let's move on. Uh, so that's the Paul Kelley update. All right, yeah, let's move on from the Paul Kelley update to Rob Harmon, and we're gonna do the Rob Harmon update. We'll do his babies first. So we did not, because of course this weekend, Memorial Day weekend, it's been raining and terrible weather and freezing all weekend. So Saturday was just like that too at Tioga. So we did not Rob did not send the babies up there for training and then schooling, and then we're gonna get it videotaped and everything. So that didn't happen. Um, and so he's just gonna, I think on Wednesday, he's gonna take him over to Monticello and do a little schooling behind the gate over there at Monticello. He has a gate that he can do it in his place at Big Z, but he's gonna try and do it at Monticello on Wednesday with the babies, and then go from there. So they didn't really go any. They've been in 214, which is excellent on the half over there at Big Z. So they didn't go any faster, which is fine. They're ready, you know, that's pretty good. That's really good for babies. So so that's the next step is schooling probably Wednesday at Monticello, if possible, assuming good weather and everything. And then you know, which is schooling, which means that you're teaching them to put their nose on the gate pretty much. So you know how you have the starting gate at the start of each race? It's not natural for a horse to just know to go up to the gate. So basically Rob's gonna you kind of you put their noses on the gate, and then they usually have like these like I don't want to say a rope, but they have like a something that connects to the horse and the gate, so the horse just slowly trots around the whole track, with their nose in the gate, just getting used to like when they see the gate, when they it's training them that when they see the gate open, you know, that they should be putting their nose up on the gate, and so because it's not something that they've seen all winter, but they learn it pretty quickly. Once they do that, they learn it pretty fast. It's surprising how quickly they learn, to be honest. But yeah, that's what the plan is on Wednesday, and then we'll see how things go. But they're getting pretty close to these horses are getting pretty close to hitting the track. So keep our fingers crossed that nothing things keep moving along. But that's the plan with them, and then then we'll go from there. But this is going to be a big week. So if they can get that done, get that kind of checked off the list, maybe another strong training mile this week. They're getting pretty close, and just um, the horses are doing well. Obviously, Seven Seagrams is kind of like she's kind of there's only three. Rob has like I think like four or five babies over there, but Seven Seagrams obviously has kind of been towards the top as far as how she's been doing the training. She's just been doing it easy. She's just been she has a really nice gait to her. Like she doesn't go not a lot of movement, like very not a lot of wasted movement. She just kind of reaches out and then and grabs the ground and she's gotten bigger. She's a six pack, so she's six pack generally kind of decent size, not huge, but decent sized horses. And then just her mannerisms, she's very professional. She Nothing seems to bother her. You ask her to go fast, she goes fast. You ask her to slow down, she goes slows down. And whenever every time they finish a training mile, she always feels like she's got more in the tank. So there's a lot of good things. Seven Seagrams has been probably the most impressive one so far this off season. Um, um, so we're looking forward to her. She's New Jersey, so she'll be doing a lot of Meadowlands. Hopefully, she's good enough. New Jersey's very difficult, but if she's good enough to compete in Meadowlands, we're gonna have a lot of fun over there at the Mecca of harness racing. Beetlejuice is probably right behind her, where he's more interesting. He's got a lot more action in his gait. It's not a bad thing necessarily. It's just his front legs move up. He grabs a lot of ground when he trots. But he's all trot. He doesn't break, and he gets around those turns real good. He looks like a crazy wow. Kind of stout. He's got that stout body to him, and powerful, and he wants to go forward. And so he's another one that actually is showing that he might actually be pretty decent. Um, when I say decent, it's like I don't know if that means Excelsior. Is he going to be one of the better Excelsior types? Is he going to be in New York Sire Stakes? Don't know. Um, but he's showing a lot that he might actually be okay. Meaning, like I said, either a better one of the better Excelsiors or potentially Sire Stakes. But like I said, we've never seen them race. We don't know how that's going to happen when they qualify and get other horses. And are they going to break? Are they not going to break? Are they going to? We don't know anything, but just how they've been training down and their mannerisms and things like that, how they go about their business. He's also been uh, pretty impressive. Rob's liked what he's seen with him. Solar Queen, she's right there behind him. She's probably looking more like she might be like a solid Excelsior type for New York, which is good. You can make a lot of money with Excelsior. $20,000 leg, seven legs, $100,000 final. So she's there's no reason why she can't be pretty good. Um, Uh, but she'll probably wear hobbles. The other two won't wear hobbles. She'll probably wear hobbles just to be safe, even though she doesn't really break much, as we've seen like training videos and things like that. But just to be safe, she'll probably get some hobbles as more of like a reminder for her. But she's doing well too. So she's finishing right along with Seven Seagrams and Beetlejuice. So like when I'm talking right now is more based on because they've all gone the same speed, so it's more based on like how they do it and stuff like that, their gaits, their mannerisms. So that's what we're talking about right now. So, but all three looking like I don't want to jinx it, but so far so good. So that's the Rob's babies, and I know I didn't get into the detail with Paul's babies, but his are a little usually farther away. So once we get a little closer to them we'll get more details. We'll talk more on Paul's baby specifically. They've been turned out like 2.5 weeks. So, all right. So that is Rob's baby. So let's get into the horses. So let's do Beaueastel. And he had the 8 post. He's been drawn terribly to start the year, but he's been battling through it. So there he is out there with the 8 post, and he was actually the favorite in this race. Um, we lucked out where he fit a higher level race, but I guess that race didn't fill, so they put him in this lower level race. So it actually worked out for us. That's him on the front over there. That 7 is kind of what got us here. So he was, Mike Merton was leaving. That 7 got us because he left for some reason. He was a bomb, I think, or I'm not sure if he's a bomb, but the seven leaving hurt us because it didn't let us get to the front. So we just took back to fifth, which yeah, I was kind of sad to see that, but then the seven keeps pushing it. And I think eventually seven just breaks right here. I think he breaks, yeah, right here when they got this camera shot. And of course, you got a white horse in the front or a gray horse. You don't really see too many of those in harness racing. See it more in thoroughbreds. But uh, but anyway, there we are. We're sitting in the four hole here, and Mike Merton. He's actually one of the top drive. He's the number one by far number one driver at Monticello, and at Tioga he's actually top two, top three every single year for the past I don't even know 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So he knows his way around Tioga, and it's a big asset to get him every single time. So there he is following that horse, that three horse. Um, and right here we're gapping, and I'm kind of like at first I'm like, oh man, we can't even keep up because Boisto sometimes he's sometimes he doesn't really like follow or like pass horses too much, but here he's actually following, but it looks like he's just that's actually a fast quarter. So you see the 28 and 2, that was actually a 28 and 2 quarter. So for him to pass that three, he would have had to go like 27 and change, which is a lot for a third quarter. So there he is right now passing these horses, and so that horse is done on the inside. That horse on the lead, I was hoping he came back a little bit, but he didn't. So he had it for himself. And right here, this was my favorite part. Right here, boom, nipped him, nipped him right at the wire for second. So I was praying. I was like, please give us that second. Please give us a second, because second versus third is a pretty big difference. So I was like, please give us, and we got the second. We've been. I feel like the photos we've been shafted a little bit this year in the photos, so that was good to actually get a good photo, and that was a good second. So he's doing great. He's actually raced like 8 weeks in a row, believe it or not, since we qualified him. He's just been a machine. So he's gonna get this week break for this week, and then he'll be back rolling the following week. He's actually Beaueastel is probably one of the horses who I am most pleasantly happy with to start this year. Or we're already almost half of the year, but he's probably the one that I'm like. Invictus was obvious. He came off the break and he hit the ground firing. But we still, even last year, he kind of took a bit to get rolling. He kind of showed flashes here and there, showed flashes, but it was never consistent. We're finally seeing like a consistently strong finishing Bowiestel. Yeah, he's not a Nola. He's not a Nola. He's not geologic, but he's actually he's actually trotting really hard, finishing his mile strong, and he's okay. Like I said, he's not an open trotter, but he's solid. He's a very solid. He's showing that he's a very solid trotter. So pretty much what we saw, what we thought he was, it's finally showing more consistently. So anyway, I was very happy with Boistel. Checking out the talent. So checking out the talent is our new horse. Um, he's our new horse in from Australia, and he's doing great. So he's training right now. He's been doing some training miles. He's been in 2:16, and so he'll be training again this week. And he's not that far away. So he arrived to Big Z on the 30th, I want to say, or 29th, 30th. And then Rob says it takes 6 weeks for the horses for the down unders usually, assuming all goes well, to qualify. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So Wednesday. This Wednesday will be 4 weeks, and then you got the week after for 5 weeks. So um, he's looking like he might qualify in about 2 weeks. So this week he'll train. Next week he'll train, and then the first week of June he'll train. So he might that June 10th. He looks like he might be ready. Assuming all goes well, he might qualify June 10th. So he's right around the corner. He's doing a good job. In his work, his training and jogging back, he's no issues. Um, and like I said, his peers, he's got peers in that are currently racing that were racing that he beat and he competed with in Australia, and they're doing well. They're like, some of them, one of them's in the Open in Saratoga. The other one was just in the Borgata. So there he's in good company. So we're looking forward to getting him going. So that's checking out talent. So Enola, let's do Enola. Enola finally it filled this week. The open trot didn't fill last week. She's the 5 horse. The 6 horse is the horse that got her the second week. Uh, last time Enola raced. The one is Duly Resolved, who has been the best horse in the Tioga Open Trot all last year. He was by far the best horse. And the only time we ever beat Duly Resolved was when we drew inside and the Duly Resolved drew outside and just took to last. That was the only time we beat him. That two is Purple Lord, who beat Beaueastel a couple times and or once or twice. And Purple Lord's all business. He's very good. He actually qualified versus Geologic too, down in Florida. They were both at Sunshine Meadows. So that's 27-2. Enola blasts right off the gate, and she's got, that's a great benefit that she has is sorry, I got allergies. So the cat's like shedding now. So it's all over the place. So she's Enola's got great gate speed, which is excellent for trotters, and she gets right around those turns. So like that's how you know when you got a good trotter when they can do stuff like that. So like Boisto is good, but he can't blast off the gate like she can. She can quickly get up to speed. Um, so there she is, and this right here is I thought this was the best possible trip. Like I was actually talking to one of the owners. I was like, yeah, I hope Enola can leave and then the one retakes and we sit behind the one the rest of the way. This one, I thought this is and everyone feels differently about a race. Everyone looks at races differently, but for me personally, this is the trip I wanted. I wanted to be behind the one. However, once I saw this two go right eye to eye right here, around that final turn, I was like, oh my goodness, what's going on with this one? And then he's like whipping the one, and I'm like, okay, this one is actually getting tired. So then the six starts coming around on the, around over there. Enola finally shoots on the inside over here. And she actually explodes, Enola. She actually really jumps up. I actually thought we might win this race still, the way she was closing. But we ended up getting third. Um, and which I'm still happy with getting third. Top three, I'm never really going to complain about top three. We weren't the favorite in this race. In the sixth, the horse that won this race is the horse that beat us last time. So, but the key is Enola belongs. She fits this race like a glove. I want to see. Yeah, everyone's like, yeah, we should have deuce popped that one, at the 3/4 pole, whatever it was, or in the back stretch. And I'm like, yeah, in hindsight, yes. In hindsight, absolutely. We should have deuce popped him. But at the time, my even, I don't know what Mike was thinking, but for me personally, my goal was sit behind that one the whole way. If he's on the lead, he should be very difficult to beat. And then we can just either shoot the rail behind him and get second, first or second, or maybe the horses on the outside can't keep up, and then we can kind of shoot around him and try to get first or second. That's how I thought it was gonna go, but yeah, he packed it in. That first quarter, I guess, got him real good. He packed it in. That horse does not really do that. So we'll see how it goes. Enola will be back in next week, but she raced great. She raced awesome. Um, and all these little like kind of breaks here and there she's getting is it's only helping her to keep her strong throughout the year. All right. For whom the bell tolls, she is uh her next race is on the 31st. I think her draw is actually one of these. Her draw is one of these days. I want to say somebody asked me when's her draw. By the way, from the bell tolls, she's a nice horse. I don't like I said she's not the greatest horse in sliced bread, but she's good. She's very good. We should have some fun with her. Okay, her draw is tomorrow, so we'll know tomorrow. We'll know tomorrow where she draws for Sunday, May 31st in the Excelsior first leg of the Excelsior series at Saratoga. Um, we'll see tomorrow where she draws for that. So she's doing fine. Um, Gretzky the Great. All right, so here's another more good news on the horizon for Gretzky the Great. So this current week, he is doing his training miles on the track. So basically, ever since he had that little setback where his leg was a little puffy after his last training miles, um, and he got the injection again in April, towards the end of April. Um, he's been swimming. So he this week he's going to do 2 training miles on the track. So we got to keep our fingers crossed that he does them well, and his leg is fine and there's no issues, and he comes out perfectly fine. So that's the first big test this week is keep our fingers crossed that when he trains on the track this week, that there's no issues. Like unlike last time where it was like, oh, his leg's a little puffy. We got to get a vet to look at it. Got to get a shot. All this, all that. Let's just hope he trains. He checks his leg next morning, looks fine. Trains again, a couple days later, whatever. Checks leg, fine, and then that's the goal this week. So, but he's finally moving on to that next step and not just swimming. If everything goes well this week, so if everything goes well this week, the plan is that he will qualify next week on Wednesday at Poconos. So that's the big news of Gretzky is if all goes well this week on the training on the track, he will be put into qualify next week on Wednesday at Poconos and make his return. It'll be Rob driving if we get to that point, and Rob, it's going to be the most conservative qualifier you've ever seen in your entire life. I don't think Rob's ever going to leave the rail. I don't think he's going to leave the gate. It's just going to be him following him around. And same thing, you're just going to be hoping that his leg holds up the next day. Pray that his leg holds up the next day. If it holds up, then he'll be entered to race, and then it'll be probably low claimers, very low claimers that he'll be entered to race. No one's going to take him off 6 months layoff like this, but that's where we're going to start him and then work our way up. Hopefully, if the leg holds up, we'll work our way up. But that's the story for Gretzky. It's big news, big week coming up. So let's all keep our fingers crossed. He's very close to returning. All right. Invictus, he did not race this past week. We have him in, he's actually racing later today in Tioga, and his Trackmaster rating skyrocketed. I don't know how. Well, I do kind of know how. Their calculations, it's kind of complicated, but it looks like whatever calculation they have went against us this time, and his Trackmaster rating went up. So we don't want to put him in that race that he was just in, that he's been in, where it's just going to 49, 48. It's just like, goodness gracious. He's just to get fifth place to do that. So he's at Tioga today. We'll see how it goes. After today, he gets a lot of money off his card, so we can, you know, potentially find another good race for him. But he's doing great. That's Invictus. He's doing well. Just Rose's luck. She is in to go. She had last week off, or she has this week off, and she is in to go. Actually, she raced, I think, after our video. So let's do her race. Let's do her race. The reason why this race, it's like I feel like I've seen this race a million times because Mike Merton actually did a video. It's not really. Charlie sent it out. It's not a good video for kids to watch, especially at the end. But had some choice words for his brother. But that's just Rose's luck right here with Mike Merton right here, the 5 horse. The 6 horse is Tommy Merton, his brother, Mike's brother, and I think Greg Burton's in here somewhere too. Maybe, yeah, down here in the back with the 3 horse. But anyway, that's Rosa getting to the front. And then she lets Jillian Jiggs get to the front. Think we retake. I think we retake. Yeah, we're a 1-2 favorite, and then we retake. Yep, that's what happens. And then we're on the lead. And this is a fast quarter, so it's kind of like what happened to Duly Resolved that we just saw with the Enola race, with a really fast first quarter and then you retake. But she's 1-2 shot. He was even money, so you kind of, if you're the favorite, you really should be on the lead. You really shouldn't be sitting in the pocket because it's almost like a guarantee when a favorite sits in the pocket that something happens, and then everyone starts screaming like, "Why were you sitting in the pocket? You're the favorite." So anyway, so this is Rosa 20. She got a little bit of a break, 29 and 1 second quarter, which is good. That's she never really does like a 30-second second quarter. If you see 30-second second quarter, I'm almost like, why is she slowing down so much? She usually does like 29 and change. So that's a good sign. That's like her breather. And then here she'll probably do another 29. That's kind of her how she rolls. Um, although here that 3 is actually um gave me a scare. That three came in really hard. So she went 28-4 right here, which is pretty quick. That three scared me. It looked like it was going to get past us, but then Mike got into Rosa and she really responded. She responded really well. She put that three away. And then that six is just sitting there the whole time, just hanging out. That six is just hanging out. And that six has been the favorite in this race a few times too. And there she goes. She goes right. I think right one of these moments is when Mike Merton had a little words with his bro. But yeah, that was a big mile, 54-4. Rosa was right there. She was good second. So she had off. She has off this week. She's back in the box though for the following week. Same race at Monticello. She fits like a glove. It's like a little. They're having like a duel. Her and Jillian Jakes. And Jillian Jakes was a 20 claimer at Yonkers too last year, also when they were both there. So they're similar horses. So all right, that's Rosa, Memento Mori, Memento Mori race last week. So yeah, we had a lot going on. Um, so Rosa had a good second. Memento Mori had a good victory. This is a really good race for him. So he's the three horse right here, Kyle Swift, second time aboard, and he gets to the gate the way the horse needs to get to the gate. He pushes off, so he actually does push off a little bit. Um, and then here, I kind of like this. He said, "Hey, we're the best horse in the race. I think we were 3-5, even though we were 9-2 in the morning line." Which I was like, "What? How we 9-2 in the morning? We were 3-5 because so the bettors knew that we were the best horse in the race. Obviously, um, there he is, just inching his way up to get to the front. They don't. They're not going to let him get to the. They're not going to do a slow quarter and just give it to him and let him get up there. So 28. So it's pretty quick for trotters. Um, he gets right to the front, and then pretty much. I mean, it's really not much to note the rest of this race. He's just kind of wiring the field. Um, and he didn't have to go very quickly to do it. So that's why it's a good class for him because these horses, they're all young horses for the most part, not a ton of experience. So you're not going to see the 56, 55, 56 miles that he was dealing with at Yonkers. Here you'll see more like 27, 28. If it's hot, you might see like 26-4 or something like that. So there he is, got a little 29-2 second quarter, so he's still kind of motoring a little bit. And believe it or not, 57-2 first half is for these horses it's significant. So it matters to these horses. So there he is getting some separation. That two's making a move. But Kyle Swift, he knew he had this thing in the bag right here. He wasn't even trying at this point. It's a statue. And yeah, Memento Mori is just doing it himself. He's not the greatest in the turns. We all know that, especially the people who had him before. It's just he's not he kind of runs in a lot, but he does get around, but he just runs in. And then there he is. I mean, he just on cruise control the rest of the way. So this is a great win. Um, we actually had one of our owners get into the winner circle too, so that was nice to see, 56-4. So yeah, he's we finally got 7-7. We finally got a good post, and he didn't break. I think one of these two posts he broke. So it's a good horse. He fits that class like a glove. So we're happy to see him, and we'll keep him rolling in there. He is not racing this week. He's just been racing a lot. He's only 4 years old. So and he did not get a break this winter. He raced the entire winter, pretty much every week in the freezing winter. So just want to take it easy with him. You don't want to push him too hard. You want to keep him fresh the whole year. All right, so he's in the box though Wednesday for next week on Monday. So he'll get ready. He'll get rolling again. My Hunter, um, my Hunter. I don't even know if I want to do. I'm not even going to show this race. It was a ridiculous race, Yonkers race where he did get fifth, but it was one of the worst. It's one of those half-mile races that it's like if a fan is watching, they're going to be like, "Why would I even want to watch this anymore?" They're basically all in a straight line until the last quarter, and then we were so gapped out, we were 15 lengths behind the leader, and then we just basically passed one horse to get fifth. It was a terrible race how it shaked out, and so anyway, and we had the sixth post, so we obviously were sitting towards the back during that whole thing. But anyway, so he's good. He finished good. It's just and he picked up those checks. And like I said, those fifth place checks, he got 850 for fifth place. So those checks add up. So we want to, if we're not going to win, we want to get a check. Remember, we always want to get a check if we're not going to win. And fourth, fifth is not that bad, especially when you were, I think he was like 15-1 or something. So you picked up a check, move on to fight another day. So he is not racing this week. It's just a scheduled breather. He's been racing hard like 6 weeks in a row. So he'll be in next week. We just got to figure out where we're gonna put him and what spot, but we'll figure that out. But he is racing next week. Um, it's probably gonna be Yonkers. Just gotta figure out where at Yonkers. Um, it's just he's one of those horses that, and he's done it all his career, where he's like when he faces good horses on the bigger tracks, his style of racing where he kind of sits back and then closes strong, it doesn't really translate that well to those quicker tracks because they can all go 54 back half. They can all go 54 and change back half. So he doesn't really have an advantage when he does a 54 over there, 54, 55 over there versus on a half where he can do a 55. Not many horses can do a 55 on a half. They just can't get around the turns that quickly. So it's one of those things where he's a better half mile horse. It's just we got to find the right spot. Because now he made too much money, so it's a kind of a good problem to have. But anyway, Maya Hunter, he's doing great. He's still one of the better horses we got in the barn. And then uh, let's see who's next. Ship's Revenge. The big story with her is on Wednesday she's going to get her pregnancy test. So let's keep our fingers crossed that on Wednesday we hear that she's pregnant and she's got a little embryo in there, and let's we can all have a glass of wine to celebrate that she's pregnant. Um, so hopefully that we'll see what happens on Wednesday. That's the big thing. So let's just hope so. Um, uh, Hopefully pregnant with American Courage. Okay, and then Soho Skyfall. He he raced last week, and oh, this race was I'm only going to show it just because um it was just a it was one of those things where you have to make a decision, and sometimes the decision is the right move, sometimes not the right move. So you can't. It's a tough game. So here we are. We're the six horse. I was kind of hoping we blasted off a little bit from there, but you could. It looks like the three and it looks like the inside horses were leaving, so that would have been pretty difficult for us. I think this first quarter went in like 27 and changed something. So it would have been pretty brutal to leave. So there he is. Um, Back here, we're sitting six, so we're a long way from the front. And yeah, that 3 wanted the lead, so it would have been yeah, these horses are fighting pretty hard to be up front here. I want to see what these fractions are. Yeah, 27-1. Yeah, so if he left, that 27-1 is really, really fast for Monticello. So if he left, it probably would have been 26-4, because he would have been fighting to get to the front. So or parked. So yeah, so that was the way to go. Now here's what happens. Here we chose to follow this five, the four and the five, and that's what got us. The eight took our spot on the rail. We're sitting behind this five who's going nowhere. This five is gapping that four by what? 5 lengths? And we're sitting that five has now succeeded in pushing us all the way back to last. So, this is one of those. Yeah, now we're sitting last. We're officially last. We pulled third over and now we're sitting last. So that's what I'm trying to say. Like, this is just a bad. It was just a bad trip, you know. You know, and there's really not much to say about it. Where sometimes we can't control this. We can't control sometimes if we get a bad trip, and we sat behind that five. And that five actually did. He actually did end up finishing okay, But the way he did it, pushing us to last like that, it hurt us. Um, and he's actually Soho Skyfall actually finished. He actually did the fastest last quarter in the race. So he plenty of horse, nowhere to go. He still finished 3 lengths behind the leader, but it was just a bad trip. So he's back in to go on Wednesday. at Monticello from the four post. So let's just hope we can get a little better, and that it happens. So I'm not trying to say it's like a negative thing. Like it happens. It's not as bad. Bad luck trips will happen. Stuff like that. We get a horse that unexpectedly goes backwards. Um, it's kind of out of our control. So we just do the best we can. So he's back in. Let's hope for the best. And like I said, we just need a better trip, and he'll be fine. He fits like a glove in there. Um, and last but not least, Uncle Rat. He is in to go later today at Saratoga. He qualified great at Tioga on Saturday, and he fits that class the best at Saratoga. It's actually that's the best spot for him. We just gotta we just gotta make sure, we got Wally Hennessy, so we just gotta hope that he can get off the gate and those shenanigans kind of stop with those shenanigans and breaking behind the gate. He's never done that before. So let's just kind of hope he's a hot horse. He is like a little hot horse. So, but he's powerful. We just got to get him racing. So let's hope that we can um, get a race out of him. He likes to come off the pace. So even post eight, even though it's horrible for him, it's not the worst. And he's still 6-1 morning line. So that shows that he's still one of the better horses in there, even from post eight. So we'll see how that goes. So, all right, everyone. So that's it. Have a nice Memorial Day weekend, and good luck with your horses. Thank you, everyone.